Hi, I'm Mike Starkey, the elected Mayor of Copeland, and today I'm joined by, for those who have been following our podcast, I'm joined by some faces that will be becoming more and more familiar to our audiences. All the three ladies joining me this morning have previously done podcasts in earlier lockdowns, and it'll be good to get an update today. So I'm joined by Amanda Starr, the Strategic Housing and Inclusion Manager. Good morning, Amanda, and welcome.
Hi, Mike.
I'm also joined by Gemma Coward, who's our Housing Options Team Leader. Morning to you as well, Gemma.
Good morning, Mike.
And I'm also joined by Emma Williamson, who's our Community Resilience and Social Inclusion Manager. Emma, as many will know, is also a Cumbria County Councillor as well, covering the Kells ward, so we'll probably be speaking with two hats on as we go through the podcast this morning. Here we are again in another lockdown. Back in a similar situation to what we found ourselves in March. Amanda, can I come to you first, and to talk about what measures we're taking, what's the same and what's different, and give a little bit of an overview of what your team are doing to offer support to the community at the moment.
Hi, Mike. Yes, well, lockdown 3, gosh, we didn't think we would be here, did we, at this time? Yeah, I mean, we are doing so much with the communities and with our own teams, expanding our statutory services and providing what we call wraparound services, which is, over and above our basic duty. What we have on the call today is a representation of both sides of my team. So I'm the strategic lead for housing and communities, and we've got Gemma, who covers the homelessness and domestic abuse side, and Emma, who works a lot with our communities. And we want to talk about some of the particular pressure points that we're seeing this time. But if it's okay, what I wanted to do, Mike, is just explain to people that our team actually is really small, and this time we are seeing, a bigger pressure as a lot of people are out there in the community themselves. And I think I wanted to get the message across that our staff are, your neighbours, your friends, your family, and we're not immune or resilient to everything that's going on as well. So I'm wanting really to ask people to understand that, because we are finding different ways to provide our services. We've moved a lot online. As you can see, we're all working at home at the moment, and we're having to prioritise emergency and really serious cases. We've got people in our team that, the same as everybody else, have got medical pressures, might be shielding. We've got a pregnant colleague, we've got people going through cancer treatment, just the same as everybody in the wider community, really. So my starting pitch is, please understand that, and bear that in mind when you communicate with us. But what we're now going to tell you about is all the really helpful services that we provide, and some of the pressure points that we're seeing in lockdown 3.
Thank you, Amanda. Gemma, can I come to you? The housing options and domestic abuse you're supporting the community. Can you give a bit of an overview and just talk about some of the measures that we're taking at the moment?
Yeah, so I manage the homelessness team, which deals with the housing options and domestic abuse. So we're currently dealing with the cold weather at the moment and making sure that everybody that's sleeping rough or is at risk of sleeping rough has somewhere warm and safe to stay. Now that goes alongside the troubles that we've had with COVID. So we ask anybody to get in touch with us if they're homeless or threatened with homelessness, and we offer advice to those who are homeless or threatened with homelessness, whether you're receiving a notice from your landlord or you've been asked to leave your current accommodation because your grandma's shielding or other reasons. We'll work with clients to prevent them leaving, such as arrears or negotiations with landlords and things like that. Now, if your landlord issues you a notice within the COVID period, the government guidelines are now, they've pushed forward, should I say, they extended the possession proceedings in court, so that any notice that's been served by a landlord should be valid for 6 months, and it's extended to the 23rd of August. Please get in touch with us if you've received a notice and we'll check that it's valid. I really want to focus on domestic abuse today. The presentation levels for homelessness have been quite steady throughout the pandemic, but domestic abuse has been quite low. And I want to focus on what our team does for domestic abuse and what happens when you present, if you are presented as a risk of domestic abuse. So we have a specialist role that sits within the housing options team, our crisis prevention and support officer, and she will support you if you are coming forward with, you find yourself with nowhere to go, if you've had to leave if you have to leave your family or the perpetrator as a result of domestic abuse. The contact details will follow later, Mike, I believe. So all of the contact will be there. We are a 24-hour service for emergencies. So out of hours service is available. So if you need to leave and you need to flee that night or that weekend, we are here. The officer works alongside the housing options team, which makes that role unique. It makes a person-centred support and offers long-term security for their own accommodation, as well as signposting to other agencies that we can provide that holistic support. Working alongside the housing options team has access into emergency accommodation. Now, this emergency accommodation is within Copeland, and houses have been expertly designed that's been target hardened to ensure victims and families feel safe and comfortable in their homes. Now, target hardened, extra locks on the windows, extra locks on the doors, even safe rooms with special locks on to keep you safe. And there's another perception I mentioned last time is if you come forward as a risk of domestic abuse, you'll be placed in a refuge out of the area of Cumbria. Now, where possible, and the majority of times we keep you in Copeland and we work with you to try and find somewhere that is your option. You want to live there, we will work with you to try and keep you in your support bubble. The government has announced that all chemists are safe spaces to go if you are at risk of domestic abuse. Now, we've worked with Boots, Superdrug and all the chemists within Copeland to let them know that our officer is here and our team are here 24 hours as emergency cases only to help you and have access into direct accommodation that is safe. And then we would work with you longer term to find accommodation that is yours and is secure. Since January 2020, we've assisted 47 victims, and that includes 18 children which have broken away from abusive relationships and supported into their own tenancies. But I just want to make a plea. Please come forward if you are suffering with domestic abuse and don't suffer. Come forward, there is help out there. Thank you.
Gemma, in terms of homelessness, what's the situation as in comparison to in normal times when we're not going through a pandemic? What's the Copeland situation as far as homelessness at this moment?
The demand is pretty steady in homelessness, and there's been a 26% increase in presentations. So the first 3 quarters of 1920, we've seen 270 people present. Compared to this 3 quarters in 2021, there's 342 people present. So there's about a 26% increase there. The majority, the demand and the pressures in homelessness have come from people accessing and wanting accommodation. So we accommodated 44 people in the first 3 quarters last year, compared to 101 in the 3 quarters this year, and 130% increase on access into a temporary emergency accommodation. And the majority of people presenting for homelessness are single clients, and the majority have been asked to leave by a family or friend.
And are we managing to find homes for put a roof over the head of these people?
Yes, we're currently not finding any pressures with temporary accommodation. I've made sure, planned everything like we did in the first lockdown. We've retained beds in bed and breakfast as overspill. We have 8 units of dispersed accommodation which are rented from a housing association. They're ours, direct access, fully furnished, and they're all set up ready to go. Now, these are probably 95% occupied at the moment, and we are using bed and breakfast as overspill. So we've got, at this moment in time, we have 14 in temporary accommodation. That's families and singles, and we are 7 dispersed units occupied, and the rest are in B&B as overspill.
And it's perhaps worth saying, isn't it, Gemma, about the work that we do with our colleagues in the third sector, Calderwood, Whitehaven Community Trust, the foyer. Yeah.
So what
Really
we do is, when you're in temporary accommodation, we'll work significantly hard to try and secure you longer term accommodation. There'll be nobody has to leave within the current licence agreements. If they're adhered to, then we will work with third parties. So Calderwood House and Whitehaven Community Trust, the foyer, all the third parties are there as a first port of call for our service users to move into longer term accommodation.
So I guess a message to anybody watching this podcast today is, if you know anybody who's likely to finish up in this situation, to point them in our direction, and ring the numbers that'll be in the text that goes out with this podcast today. And of course, that's the same message to anyone who's watching who's likely to become homeless or is under the threat of being homeless. And community resilience and social inclusion during the lockdown one from March through to June last year, we've seen a mobilised community with food pantries, care packages, volunteer groups springing up virtually in every town and village across Copeland. What's the situation this time around? What are we actually doing to drive support to the vulnerable through this pandemic during the current lockdown?
So although it's a different situation now, and the demand and need is a little bit different, because we now have slots on supermarkets thanks to our work of our partners at the County Council, but it's still the same. We still are heavily reliant on our COVID groups, on our volunteers to support us, and they're doing that absolutely brilliantly. We're still doing our food pantry, working with the Phoenix Enterprise Centre. That still delivers every Tuesday. And that is volunteer run as well. We also have done care packs. I've actually got, I'm delivering some today. I've got about £400 worth of care packs in the boot of my car that are going up there and going to be distributed. So we're still ramping up that support. It's just very different, because the way that people are being asked to shield is different. So we're still asking people to, if they need support, to go through the hub. The county hub, the number is 0800 783 1966. You can be assessed for support to see what people need, but we are still in awe at the support from our communities and how they have just mobilised again. The majority of our COVID groups are up and running, so our social prescribers are working really closely with those community groups and organisations to mobilise. Our supply chain as well, they've mobilised again and offering support. So throughout Christmas, we delivered Christmas presents to families. We did food on Christmas Day. That was all mobilised by charities, community groups, volunteers, the supply chain. It's just been a really fantastic response, Mike, because we've all come together again to deliver that support. And now we've got different pressures, Mike. We've got pressures around winter. So, we've got people who might not be able to afford utilities. And my plea to them is get in touch with the Citizens Advice. They've got lots of support out there. They've got vouchers. They've got a scheme for families. And after this call, we'll make sure those numbers are available for people to get in touch. But there is a lot of support out there. And also what we're doing, Mike, is working with schools as well to flag up any pressures and support that they may need. And again, working with our county partners on that.
How are we coordinating this across Copeland to make sure it's a joined up approach? With the town councils, ourselves, volunteer groups. How's that been coordinated to keep it joined and make sure that we're hitting the targets that we're trying to achieve?
So we have regular meetings with our community groups and our organisations through the resilience group. So we have a resilience group that Manda and Gillian Elliott chair. And our community groups are invited and organisations to flag up any issues or pressures. We had a meeting yesterday specifically with our COVID groups to flag up any of those pressures that they were facing. So some people said, they were delivering prescriptions again. So I've gone to some of the pharmacies this morning to check the demand and need there. So it's very much all delivered through the resilience group. And that's where everybody from the supply chain to our volunteer groups are all there, and we also have something called subgroups. So we have four subgroups, five subgroups, sorry, Mike, one around health, one around families, one called Food and Financial Resilience that Manda chairs and I sit on. And we've also got a digital group that a lot of these issues that are flagged are then put into those subgroups, and we can discuss a way forward or how we can act in a more targeted way.
Excellent. Amanda, coming back to you, what are the key messages that you'd really like to get out to the public right across your teams?
I think I would say don't wait until you're really desperate to get help. Come and speak to us sooner rather than later. And there's a lot of support out there. And, our role, it's twofold really, our role. It's about planning for the future and looking strategically about what we want to do to reboot the economy, what we're doing about jobs and training opportunities. Mike, you're very close to the work on economic regeneration, the towns and the high streets, things like that. Our specific role is around housing, planning for housing and planning for community resilience and robustness. And the other part of our role is around the here and now, which is what we're talking about at the moment. And what I would say to people is, come forward and let us redirect you to where you can get help. There's a couple of things I wanted to give some messages out. Emma's talked about the Thrift Hub and she's talked about the Winter Pressures Fund. Now, there are a lot of people coming forward around self-isolation payments, and that's a government-backed scheme administered through the council. And what we're finding is quite a lot of people, because they fall above the threshold, they either they have too much income or they don't qualify for whatever reason. It's actually 7 out of 10 people don't qualify when they apply for self-isolation payments. And we know that we need people to self-isolate, we need people to stay in, and if there is a disincentive because they can't afford to do so, we need to tackle that. So one of the things I wanted to tell you about is a new approach that we're developing with the credit union, and we've been able to provide some hardship funding through to the credit union to help people, whether they're self-isolation or they've got other pressures. And what I would say is, if you've got queries about self-isolating, come through to the council and we can make a referral through to further hardship funds. But if you've got other pressures generally, please speak to the credit union or to Phoenix Enterprise Centre or to Citizens Advice, because there are pots of money now. This time round, there's a lot of support. And the challenge for us isn't so much about building that network of support, it's about getting people to the right pots of money to help to the right, and people think, oh, it's not for me, it's just for people that are perhaps shielding. It's not now, it's for everybody who is feeling that pressure. Now, there always is an assessment. You will need to talk to people about your circumstances. They will want to understand why that pressure is there, but we want to help people. So don't wait until it becomes desperate. Seek out and get that support now by ringing either the hub or by contacting our third sector partners or through our self-isolation benefits team here at the council. I think that's the main thing.
I think that's a really important message to get out. It is about directing people, because there's more and broader support available than before. Gemma, have you got any concluding final message that you'd like to send out today?
Yeah, just reiterating what I've already said about, please get in touch with us if you are homeless or threatened with homelessness or you are suffering domestic abuse, and the contact numbers will follow the call. And I just want to thank the fantastic team that I've got. Without the team, we wouldn't get the outcomes that we've got. They are hardworking, 24 hours. They are amazing. Thank you, team.
Yes, I'd agree with that entirely. Emma, have you got any final message that you'd like to get sent out today?
Yeah, I would like to thank my 2 social prescribers who've worked tirelessly this year to support our community groups and organisations. But I'd also like to make a plea, Mike. Check on your neighbour, check on people in your area. And if they wouldn't come forward for support, you come forward for them. You can reach out to us and we can offer support for some people. Sometimes there's a stigma around getting support, but we're all in this together. So reach out and get in touch. Thank you.
Can I say, Mike, to help people, we'll put a link on after this, but we've got a directory of support. which is on the council's website, but we'll put a link on for people. Sometimes people don't need us to, support them. They can make that link themselves. That's really helpful to us. If you can go and have a look at where the help is and maybe, make that call, send them an email directly, that's absolutely great, because it means we can focus our attention on really vulnerable people that need us to support them. So we'll put the link on there. People can see the directory that we use.
That's useful, that Amanda, the directory of support. If you could set up with Andrew Clark in comms,
that's right, yeah,
to put it on the text with this podcast as well, and I think that would be a really useful link for a lot of members across the community.
definitely.
My message, again, as always, is I'm available on Facebook Messenger, on WhatsApp, on email, and anything that comes directly to me, I can distribute to the relevant team very, very quickly, and we can get responses and actions taken to support you as quickly as is possible. You're seeing quite a number of council staff on these podcasts, and they are all joined up. So we had revenues and benefits talking about grants last week, and they're very much joined up with the three ladies who we're speaking with today. We're all working together as a team in a joined up fashion to support everybody in the best way that we possibly can. Again, the message is, if you're watching this podcast today and you know anybody in any of the vulnerable situations that we've spoke about, please point them in our direction and let us get help to them as quickly as we can. That's it for this morning. So Amanda, Gemma, Emma, thank you all for joining us today. We'll put a lot of the links out with the podcast, and we'll look forward to speaking to you very soon.
Thank you.